news. Today we have some. We have several news stories today. A little bit busier than last week, and I expect it'll pick back up pretty soon. The news cycle and I don't know, especially leading up to this rotten synod. But starting out, the Lepanto Institute received a letter from Bishop Timothy Sr., current chairman of the Subcommittee for the Catholic Campaign for Human Development. Yeah, our favorite organization, right? Sponsored by the USCCB. And for the record, Catholic Campaign for Human Development supports the Jesuit LMNOP initiatives and all of this horrible, rotten garbage. It's also led by Director Ralph McLeod, who supported this Democrat abortionist in Texas. He was on her campaign, on her political campaign, and now he's running the Catholic Campaign for Human Development. Yeah, makes a lot of sense, right? Everything makes so much sense right now in the Francis Church, though. You know, you can do anything, and as long as it's not Catholic. Anyway, so Lepanto says our first letter, they received several letters, or they sent several letters, and I think they received a few. But they said our first letter provided some background to Bishop Senior on the problems at the CCHD and the clear lack of transparency coming from its leadership. This letter was sent via certified mail requiring a signature, and it was received, and the signature was received. Our second letter, dated May 25th, is in response to his reply and a request for a meeting. The third letter, sent June 30th, was a reminder of the request for a meeting. The last letter from Bishop Senior, dated July 19th, simply states that they discussed our concerns in-house and will not communicate with us any further. His last letter said, so the series of letters were written, a little bit of correspondence was exchanged, and the USCCB, living up to their claims of secrecy. Wait, they claim to be transparent. Oh, you could have confused. I think I was a little bit confused there for a second, right? That the USCCB would be transparent? Certainly not, especially when it comes to finances. This letter said, Dear Mr. Hitchborn, I write in response to your letters to me, dated May 25th, June 30th. I want to assure you I have reviewed the concerns that you have raised regarding the Catholic Campaign for Human Development with Mr. Ralph McLeod and the USCCB, and I am satisfied with the responses that I have received. So you would take a pro-abortion Democrat and you take his word for it over a Catholic? Rotten. Does Ralph McLeod even claim to be Catholic? I don't even know. They may have a guy running this Catholic Campaign for Human Development, and it's questionable whether or not he's actually Catholic. Anyway, this is USCCB. He said, in addition, your correspondence was discussed with the Bishop's Subcommittee for Catholic Campaign for Human Development, and all are in agreement. Are they in agreement about the slaughter of the unborn? Because it doesn't seem like that's much of a priority at Catholic Campaign for Human Development. What about LMNOP? Are they all on board? Anyway. At this time, he said, at this time, therefore, I do not believe that a meeting is necessary, nor further correspondence regarding this matter. Thank you again for writing to express your concerns. Please be assured of my prayers for you. So, basically, censorship, declining meetings for these serious, major serious problems of the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, and just more runarounds, getting the runaround from the USCCB. It's kind of par for the course. And if anything, 2018 showed that they could use a little more transparency, and that's not what we're getting. But they did lock us out of masses. They did lock us out of churches. They banned us from masses, banned us from the sacraments, and now they're banning us from the Catholic sacraments, the traditional sacraments. So what else do you expect from the bishops? I mean, it's sad to say, but is it true? Truth hurts. All right, Vietnam and the Vatican have reached a deal in which the city of Hanoi will, that's the capital, I believe, will allow the Holy See to have a resident representative in the communist-run country. So I guess it's an improvement from how it was before. However, it should be known that in order to reach this agreement, the Holy See has had to persistently pursue a line of dialogue with Vietnam for the past 33 years, accepting the communist government's strict or limited foreign policy, which is aimed at benefiting the Communist Party rather than the people. In Vietnam, the episcopal appointment process is quite complicated. After finding a suitable candidate, the Holy See will notify the government of his identity for consultation. Under the current agreement, the government must give its opinion within the time period specified by the two sides. In short, with this agreement, the government does not have power to nominate a bishop, but it has the right to deny an appointment. I mean, kind of similar to the Vatican-China deal, although China has all the power. But it seems as though there is slight progress being made, but I don't know. You're making a deal with the devil when you make a deal with a communist country. That's just what it's coming. That's what it's coming to. Okay, so I want to take this opportunity, pat myself on the back. Pope Francis on Wednesday appointed Biden Bishop Thomas Zinkula of Davenport, Iowa, to lead Iowa's Metropolitan Archdiocese of Dubuque. So I did a video several months ago talking about the open positions in the United States, the archbishop positions, and which bishops are likely to get promoted. Now, I didn't have this archdiocese as an open position because, I'll explain this. Zinkula, age 66, has led the Davenport Diocese in southeast Iowa since 2017. He replaces heretic Archbishop Michael Jackals. So Jackals resigned early. He was horrible, and he's replaced by another guy that's going to fill his shoes fairly seamlessly, it seems. And I thought that Zinkula might take a different archbishop position, but instead he moves in Iowa. I didn't actually even have Davenport on my radar because I was just looking at bishops' ages, not necessarily early retirements. And I did say that Michael Jackals was a heretic, and he preached a sermon in which he suggested that women may one day become priests. So, it's if you accuse anyone of heresy, you must have definitive proof, and I think that's definitive proof. You have to be quite sure, and I mean that's pretty straightforward. In 2021, Zinkula established a Diocesan Gender Committee. The group and its activities have been criticized for not being sufficiently grounded in Catholic teaching, to say the least. Zinkula is also one of the 8 bishops who took part in a North American Synod team during the continental stage of the process. He's a Biden bishop, which means that he signed a document where Stupich wanted to, basically not deny Biden communion, and several bishops signed on to that, and Zinkula was one of them. And if you are a signer of this document, you're basically you're signing your soul to the devil, but you're also giving yourself a great chance to rise up the ranks. Romans, I see you're in the comments. Please pass along some information. Okay, Bishop Strickland. I got a few things on Bishop Strickland. So, in a recent podcast, he addressed the Vatican investigation. He said that he thinks he was subject to the visitation because I've been bold enough and love the Lord enough in his church simply preaching the truth. Commenting on people on Twitter who say Bishop Strickland is on the way out, the bishop said, maybe they're right. He also said, sadly, too many in the Vatican, too many cardinals are, if nothing else, deeply confused and deeply unaware what the gospel is really about. We respect the office, but they lose the respect that they deserve when they're not teaching and working according to the responsibility of the office. Strickland clarifies that cardinals who contradict the faith don't deserve a cardinal red, and that is going on too much in the church. Wow. I mean, preaching to the choir, right? It's basically what we've been saying for years, if you've been a follower of this channel. Okay. Talking about Latin Masses here. St. Mary's in Hagerstown, Maryland. Dr. Peter Kwasniewski shared this on Facebook. It has long been a TLM bastion. Recently, Father Sabelli was moved and replaced by Father James Borick, who announced via flock notes that the Latin Mass would be permanently suppressed at St. Mary's as of August 8, 2024, so in about a year. He said, as far as I know, this message from Father Borick is the first smoking gun evidence for what we all suspected, namely that there will be no further extensions granted after the 2-year grace periods for diocesan Latin Masses, and that the goal is the total elimination of diocesan Latin Masses. The fate of the ex Ecclesia Dei institutes, such as the FSSP Institute, will be determined separately. Here is a key portion of Father Borick's note. At St. Mary's, we have been blessed to have been able to offer the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass in 2 forms for many years. As I know, many of our parishioners, including you, love attending the traditional Latin Mass. And I know that. There is truly much to love. As a priest who is learning the TLM now, I love the reverence, especially for the Eucharist. I love the order, and I love the beauty of the Mass. It also gives me a better understanding of where the Novus Ordo Mass came from, and I love that too. But the Holy Father has asked we all begin to worship in the Novus Ordo Mass. In fact, he asked 2 years ago now, but as you may or may not know, Archbishop Lori petitioned the Vatican to give us an extension to continue to offer the TLM here at St. Mary's. Because of his letter, we were granted a 2-year indult, which permitted us to continue offering the TLM until August 8th, 2024. During that 2-year window, we were told by the Vatican we could offer the TLM, but we had to take steps to bring everyone into the Novus Ordo Mass by August 8th, 24. In other words, the extension was given to prepare the congregation to worship under one form. It's starting to sound really modernist here. I have been in constant contact with Archbishop Lori's office, including this week. We are prepared to write to the Vatican and ask that we be allowed to continue to offer the TLM into the future, but I have been told 0 extensions have been given by the Vatican, and we do not expect the Vatican to grant us an extension either. This means that by August 8th of next year, we will only be allowed to offer the Novus Ordo Mass. And with that, he will lose a number of parishioners. So there you go. Contact the SSPX. Phones are going to be busy. All right. Speaking of irreverent liturgies, the Mexican Bishops' Conference has recently presented to the Vatican for its approval a series of indigenous liturgical adaptations for the celebration of Holy Mass. Oh, don't call it holy. For the original peoples of the country. The liturgical adaptations approved by the conference include incensing, a senior layperson role, and ritual dance. The incensing is done by a male or female thurifer using the church's normal incense. So this is the Pachamama rite of the Mass, where they're adapting it to indigenous practices. And we're going to see that more and more. I mean, this is really the intention. This is really what Vatican II says. If you read Sacrosanctum Concilium, it talks about adapting the liturgy to different cultures. And so you're going to have the Pachamama rite. Now, you might not have a pagan idol on the altar. I mean, they did that in the Vatican. But you might not have it yet. Although it might be part of the rite, this Pachamama rite. Who knows? I don't. Pachamama didn't come from Mexico, so you could have a different pagan idol. But yeah, this is definitely a paganization of the liturgy, and that's just the Novus Ordo Mass just going to continue to free fall. All right. Oh, this is big news too. 1 week after House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan of Ohio threatened to hold FBI Director Christopher Wray in contempt of Congress for withholding information, the FBI has handed over documents that further detail the agency's efforts to infiltrate Latin Mass communities in Virginia. Jordan's July 17th letter accused the agency of not providing enough details surrounding purported meetings between the FBI and the Diocese of Richmond, which is led by Bishop Barry Nestow. Did you hear about, that last part? There were meetings between the FBI and Nestow, a McCarrick secretary. Nestow, the chairman for the USCCB's Committee for the Protection of Minors. He met with the FBI regarding Latin Mass infiltration. What did the meetings involve? Did he support the FBI spying on the SSPX? All right, so this is a statement from Jim Jordan. It said, redacted documents produced to the committee highlight communications between the FBI and the Diocese of Richmond, but the redactions preclude the committee from fully understanding the nature of these interactions. Further, the committee believes additional communications exist, such as the organizing and scheduling of the March 24th meeting between FBI Richmond and the Catholic Diocese of Richmond that are responsive to the subpoena. Think about that. A former secretary of McCarrick meeting with the FBI. How compromised are things? How rotten are things? And you hear about this this video that the liberals hate about groomers, child traffickers, whatever you call them. Talk about groomers, Father James Martin. They hate this stuff. Democrats hate this stuff. And here we have McCarrick's former secretary meeting with the FBI. How many politicians are involved in this kind of stuff? I'm talking about the child trafficking. And their hands are all over it. Perverts. But these are the ones meeting. Spy on the trads. Spy on the SSPX. Does it make you a little bit concerned? Father James Martin is set to address participants of World Youth Day, speaking of grooming, as he joins the Jesuit team who are hosting a series of events in the official World Youth Day program. Francis Church is horribly compromised. Don't send your kids, don't let your kids go to Jesuit retreats. Don't let your kids listen to Jesuits. All right, this is from Romans. Commenter. Our parish, Christ the King, received a supposed visitor from the Vatican yesterday. Pray for our FSSP parish in Sarasota. Well, that's interesting. I don't know the background behind Sarasota, but did they split their church with a diocesan mass? Like, is it shared? I think that, I don't know if that's the one or not that I'm thinking of, or is it just the FSSP parish? I thought that the FSSP came in and said the mass. it wasn't necessarily owned by the FSSP, but I don't know. I don't really know. Okay, well, I think that about does it for the news, for EVTN News, another short news segment. But I want to go back to the Zinkula thing, because I mentioned him as a likely promotion. And again, like I don't want to pat myself on the back too much. You can see the thing is you can read the signs. Like you can, it's not hard to connect the dots. I mean, I'm not this genius prophet. I'm not a prophet. But what I can do is I can clearly see the game the modernists are playing. With McElroy being named a cardinal, it kind of surprised me, but I realized my intuition is pretty correct in terms of the worst rotten modernists are being promoted up the ladders. And we have several open archbishop positions in the Midwest coming up very soon. Cincinnati, Detroit, Milwaukee, just to name a few. I think there's another one or two. But I projected Bishop Stowe will get one of those, probably Cincinnati. Maybe Beegler from Wyoming will get one of them. And maybe one of the rotten ones from Texas. Who's the synodal superstar? Flores. Flores is a synodal superstar. They may move him up. Although I thought maybe Kansas City, but these guys, they come from all over. You can move them. They get moved wherever. I mean, regionally it happens, but that doesn't necessarily restrict someone to a specific region. Christophe Pierre, the nuncio, was just named a cardinal. In the United States, was just named a cardinal. He's not from the United States. They couldn't even find They couldn't find a nuncio who was Francis-y enough in the United States, so they had to import one from overseas. And he always gives his rotten Francis garbage speeches. Talks about unity, which means obedience to the new Church of Francis. He talks about synodality, which is absolutely nothing. It means nothing. Synodality is a meaningless term. In fact, what they use it for right now, the term synodality, it's sodomy. I mean, that's pretty much what you can interchange synodality with sodomy, and that's what it's synod on Sodom. Where's the historical ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah? Might as well go there and celebrate it. Have a reunion. And then maybe there will be another volcanic eruption or asteroid or whatever happened there. What was biblical? What actually did happen in Sodom and Gomorrah? Was it destroyed by a volcano or an asteroid? I don't know. It was something. Okay, well, that's all I have on EVTN News today. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we are the laity, and we will not be silent.